Welcome back to Face to Face podcast. We are filming episode 4 today with my very special guest, Jaiden Grayson.
Hello.
I'm so excited to have you here today, and I'm excited to treat you to a nice facial treatment too.
I know, I'm excited to be here. This will be my first ever facial.
I'm so honored.
Yeah, so kind of wild. I can't believe I've never had one before, but
Here we are.
I'm excited.
Well, and it's funny to think about it now too. We probably met 3 years ago.
Yeah.
At this point.
At least.
Kind of crazy.
Yep.
I feel like time's flying by.
Oh man, pandemic timing.
It's all a blur. So what's new in your world? I'm patiently waiting for new music, new creation. I know you've been all in the painting and in the art as well.
Yes. Wow, that's a really big question because I feel like I have kind of made it my, MO to be doing a lot of different things at once.
Mm-hmm.
And the last year has actually looked like really, really slowing down and not being so proud of the fact that I can juggle, but deciding to actually hold a part of my craft and take time with it and build it and, support it.
Right.
Because I do feel like often my projects are up in the air until it's time to show them, and then I hold them for a second just to show everyone else, and then I'm on to the next thing. And I'm not doing that anymore. So I think the update is really that I've kind of changed my practice. And there are still going to be all of the things, just they're going to have a lot more time and a lot more space to exist and shine and be cared for. I do have music coming, which I'm really excited about. And I've got Capitol Hill Block Party coming up in July.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that journey came to be? Because I feel like this is kind of a big feat and a huge feature, and I saw your name and I'm like, oh my gosh, yay, she's finally here on the bill. Hallelujah.
Yeah,
It's a long time coming.
I mean, I was amazed, honestly, when they reached out to me. It's a really big honor, and I'm so grateful to the Capitol Hill Block Party team and everyone that comes together, all the venues and just everything that has to happen in order for this to occur. And so it shocked me when I was reached out to, and I was actually reached out to by 2 different bookers for it. And I felt really seen and supported, because I've taken a year off of really everything in a way, to kind of restart and build a new foundation of how I'm going to be showing up for my art and with my art. So I didn't expect to be getting booked for anything, let alone Capitol Hill Block Party.
I feel like it's just such a good way of showing divine timing in that way of like, it might not have happened, a couple years ago, or it might not have happened a couple years from now, but it came, right when you're getting back into everything.
Yeah, that did feel like divine timing for sure.
ဒid you do anything to celebrate when you had the news?
Oh.
Of like, I booked it, we're gonna celebrate.
Oh, I think I got right to work. My celebration doesn't come until everything's done, everybody's paid, and the show is over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that it was more like I felt like July is tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so I'm just working, and I'm always trying to bring, the most elevated version of whatever it is that I'm going to do on stage. That happens right up until the music starts. So it's inside, I wanted to celebrate, but I really had to focus on the fact that okay, this is happening and I'm gonna be up there in X amount of days, and so I've got to be ready.
Do you have a countdown calendar?
I have a countdown calendar for the things I'm doing leading up to it.
Okay.
But no, I do not have a countdown calendar for the days till.
I'm just like anticipating, just like your fuzzy notebooks. You have a fuzzy calendar where you're like,
oh, I should see if there's fuzzy
day 35, counting down.
Right.
What is there anything we should expect from this performance? I feel like this isn't going to be your standard Jaiden Grayson performance. I feel like you're rebranding in a way, you're elevating. Is there anything like a teaser that you can give us?
Yeah, so this music and this show is really coming from a place of freedom. It makes me think of that the saying, like, reclaiming my time. And just, what is this machine?
This, you can open your eyes and look. It's a cleansing device.
Wow.
So it's has little silicone bristles, but it just gently cleanses the skin.
Oh my god, how cute. This show is a representation of me honoring my vision. And I think that in the past, I have had to compromise on my standard for how I want things to happen because of maybe who I've been working with or things that went on behind the scenes. And this is a show where, to the best of my ability, I'm bringing in the elements that I want to bring in and that matter to me, for me to feel like, yes, this is a show that I want to present.
It's so exciting.
Yeah, and I think that's different. And the music itself is...
Do you feel like it's different, like 100% different than what you previously have put out or performed? It's like a new era?
500%. I think that I'll always, I have a very distinct voice, and that'll always be the case, but my new work is genre full. I don't want to say genre less because I'm exploring so many different genres and I'm creating my own. And in the past, I think that I've pulled from the place of pain or hard times or trauma to express and release, and now I'm pulling from a place of, future me looking at me right now and saying, like, this is what life is going to be, making a choice for myself rather than expressing circumstances.
I love that. I feel like even through the eye of your social media, with you posting all of just your fun styling and I guess like inner self work, feels so healing for the inner child. Do you feel like that's something you've spent intentional time doing or pursuing, or it's just something that's kind of coming in with this timing of life?
That's a great question. I feel like turning 30, I had this awakening, not just in my choice to dedicate myself to my craft, but to protect myself in my craft. The music industry is really intense. And when you are in the studio, it doesn't matter if you're writing about something really adult, really grown, like, whatever it is, like a part of your inner child is coming out into that space to be creative, to be seen. And I did not protect my inner child in the creative process for a really long time, or in my day-to-day life and experiences. So something about turning 30 really woke that up within me, where I want to protect the integrity of little me with big me. And I think a lot about like when I was little, I would always see somebody who, had really like bedazzled glasses on and a colorful, beautiful shirt and like flared bell-bottom jeans and some chunky wedge. And, they were like the person that you'd want, like if you got lost at the festival or something, like you'd want them to help you find your way back to your family or to whatever. And I want to be that for young people. I want to inspire, especially young Black girls, that they can be whatever they want, however they want to be. That the possibilities of all the things that they can do in their life is what makes them strong, instead of the usual, like, you know, the things that they went through and the trauma or the pain. Like, no, your future and your right now is everything that it needs to be. And, you know, that they have so much power. And that's what I want to send as a message. And that's what I've been teaching my little me, is that, like, their voice is valid.
I think that's so beautifully put.
But yeah, I don't even remember what we were talking about. That's just so funny to me to think about. Like,
making money in the industry, like, you could look really busy but not be generating money, yep. Or that balance.
Yeah, I definitely resonate with being really busy and having no money to show for it. And appearing to be working really hard because you are, but there's not a big payoff.
Yeah.
That's coming in the sense of finance. What I've found is that I have to value every single aspect of working with other people, in order for it to be worth it to me, in order for there to be, like, some type of actual gain that's personal to me. And what I mean by that is, like, when I go to do a show, I'm introducing myself to every single staff member that's going to be working there. You know, I'm learning people's names. I'm taking a couple minutes to see, you know, what the opinion of the lighting guy is. What does the sound person, have they had a good day? You know, mm-hmm. Like, those little things are investments, in my opinion, as an artist, because that is what changes the experience. And it's important to remain human in your art.
Right.
So, like, there are a lot of times where you're doing things and it seems like, oh, you know, this is a big thing and people are perceiving it as a big thing. But those opportunities happen all the time. They will continue to happen all the time. They'll come and go. But how you treat them is really important. How you treat the people that are making them happen is really important. And you're a part of that as well. So, like, how you treat yourself as an artist, you know. But that to me is more valuable currency. Mm-hmm. But yes, I'm broke as fuck, and I'm doing a lot. Like, yeah.
We can all relate.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do some dermaplaning on your skin.
I really love that idea. I don't know what that is, but I'm so down.
So basically it's another form of physical exfoliation, but it's going to remove up to 4 weeks of dead skin cells, as well as any vellus hair, so any, like, peach fuzz.
Love.
And it also brightens the skin. I think it's going to be awesome.
I'm here.
I'm, like, looking at it. I'm like, ooh, yes.
I love it.
We weren't filming. This is what I'd be doing, so we're just going to do it. So.
Yay.
The only thing is we'll just need to be still when I work around your mouth area, but
I'm so down for that.
I'm gonna get that prepped. Let's talk about, I think we need to highlight this phone case saga that's been happening on Instagram because I'm highly invested at this point. By the time this comes out, there better be a grand reveal.
I know. It's, you know, it's so funny. Like, whenever I kind of am switching into or moving into the next iteration of myself, like, there's some type of hyperfixation that happens that that really starts it all.
Uh-huh.
And it could be as simple as like I see a phone case that's like completely different than the aesthetic I have now, and I'm like, we're changing everything.
The whole aesthetic needs to go.
Right. Like, and it's not a small switch. It's not like I just, you know, keep all my black clothes and now I'm suddenly buying pink stuff. Like, no, I throw away everything from the past and just start over.
Are you on TikTok at all?
I am barely.
Do you ever see those videos where they'll be like, another baddie has retired and they're like going through the thrift and it's like all the boots, all the crop tops, all everything. I'm like, this is what's happening as you're switching eras. Somebody's at the thrift is like, another baddie has fallen.
Right. No, I'm like there picking up the baddie items. I'm there. I've decided I'm going there. No, I mean, I went through a really strong period of just like only wanting to wear black, only really interestingly enough, like feeling removed from my femininity at all, and feeling as though I needed to be tough in order to survive. Maybe the social aspects of music, of the scene, of whatever. And again, something about turning 30, like, you just don't give a damn.
I feel like 30 is the magic number, is what I keep hearing.
It's
like,
one of them. I think that there's many for women. And what a blessing to see another day anyway. But to turn 30 and know that, you know, there's something very tumultuous about your 20s. At least for me.
Isn't it?
Yes. I was all over the place. I made a lot of terrible decisions. And I know that my days of making poor decisions are not quite done. But they certainly have lessened.
I love that you're realistic.
Right. I always have to leave some room for my future self to fuck up.
Do you feel like you have any advice knowing what you know now in your 30s? Let's speak to just the artistic side of you. For someone who is on their come up in the industry, knowing what you know now, what would, you know, wise 30-year-old you give the advice to the younger persons coming up?
If it feels weird, it is weird.
Come on for that.
If you love it creatively and someone on your team is talking you out of it, they're not on your team. And I don't mean love it as in like it's just some fleeting thing, but I mean like this is, you have a vision about something. Do not let go of your vision for the opinions of others at all. And never compromise on your vision. And that doesn't mean like, well, I'm not going to come up on $100,000 in order to create, you know, myself flying. Like, you're going to have to be realistic with your budget. But I'm saying, don't compromise on your vision wherever possible. And when you're writing lyrics and someone goes, oh, should we say that there? Maybe we should say this instead. Don't compromise. I did a lot of compromising, and it's devastating to the spirit. And have fucking fun. You do not have to represent your you when you are like writing lyrics or putting out music. You can imagine and be whoever you want. Like, I'm a very certain type of way, and some of the music that I'm making today are just completely made up scenarios and fantasy situations, and that is fine. Like, that is completely fine.
What I'm getting is there's no wrong way to art. There's no wrong way to create. Is that what I'm gathering?
The only wrong way is to not, you know, to make something that you intend to share and not share it. You know? Put it out. Put the music out. Like, make the art and show it. If that's what the intention was like, what, man, I hope to release an album. Please don't sit there with a folder of 100 songs for 5 years.
I think everybody's been there in one capacity or another.
Right. Put the music out.
Do you feel like some of that is just like imposter syndrome at the end of the day, or just like second guessing, like I need to work through every single thing till it's perfect, or I don't know if I want to share this. Where do you feel like some of that stems from?
Lack of faith. Lack of faith.
Yeah.
You know, creativity is it's one of those things, like where I say in the same breath, like, don't compromise, or, you know, whatever.
Right.
You also are accountable to what you create, and you can put it out, and if you hear that, you know, 2% that says it's ass, you know, that we're sensitive. I'm an artist. I'm sensitive about my shit, you know, like,
yeah.
It's a two-edged sword, and you can like sit on things, and every time you make something new and you really love it, that's now the best thing that you've ever made. So what about that last track, you know? But it's okay. Put it out.
The truth.
Yeah, put it out, because like there are so many examples, and we know this as artists, where you've heard something and people absolutely love it and you're like, what the fuck is this? There's something for everyone, and you don't know what person that is missing out on that opportunity to connect to art because you're hiding your shit.
It's so true. All right, I'm gonna go right around your mouth. I'm gonna have you stay super still. You know what I'm just coming to realize is doing this podcast is almost like my version of MTV Unplugged. Like, you know how it's kind of like an unplugged vibe for artists to perform in like a smaller space, and it's still filmed and it's accessible. I'm like, nobody ever is seeing me, like, you know, have these conversations in the treatment room. I don't know why that just comes to mind of like, oh, this is kind of wholesome.
It's very sweet.
I'm like putting my finger in your mouth. Sorry. Okay, I have another question. I'm gonna have you wait to answer it till I'm done with this section. But when do you feel the most creative? Do you have like a brain blast anywhere in particular? I feel like for myself, it's common in the bathtub. Of course, where there's like nowhere to write it down or document, you know, the next incredible idea. Take a good ponder. I'm going to be here just another second. Also, I'm going to show you, this is everything we just dermaplaned.
Yeah.
All of that was living on your face.
What the fucking hell?
Goodbye.
Wow. Disgust.
New skin. New skin loading.
Wow, that's incredible.
Okay, most creative space for you.
Oh, it could be anywhere.
Yeah?
Yeah. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. But when it happens, I've learned, you know, you don't really come up with an idea. An idea comes to you. And in that moment that you were so blessed to have an idea fall into your lap, document it, you know. Stop whatever you're doing. Grab the phone, grab the, you know, pen and paper, whatever. Turn your voice note on. Capture it in some way. Because when you don't, the idea will still find a vessel to come into fruition through. It just won't be you.
Ooh.
So you'll hear something later and go, God, I kind of felt that, or I thought of that, or I, you know, whatever. And it adds to the imposter syndrome. You know, no, the idea did come to you, it just couldn't stay with you because you didn't bring it into fruition. You didn't help it cross over into reality, out of your head and onto paper.
I really like that perspective.
Yeah.
This might be a little cold. We're gonna do some oxygenating products and then really focus on hydration and brightening.
Oh, but it's right as I fall asleep. If there's I could be like in that in between where you're starting to dream, but like you could also open your eyes, and it's like that you catch yourself there. That state, I'll hear something. Or dreams. Dreams will exactly tell me. Like,
are you a dream journaler?
I'm not a dream journaler, but I, how do I say this? Like, I don't forget most of the time. and the themes I never forget. The feeling, the sound. Like I've written a lot of songs that I've written have come from melodies that came to me during dreams, where I'm somewhere on a stage performing in a place I'm not familiar with, and I'm coming into the moment going, oh, this is my music playing, but it's not anything I've heard before.
Yeah. You know what that tells me?
What?
It means you have really good adrenal health.
Oh.
So for a lot of people, I feel like as you get older, you meet people and they're like, I don't dream, or they don't remember their dreams. I feel like we've all met somebody who's like, oh yeah, I don't dream anymore.
What?
Isn't that weird? This is a common thing. A lot of people, they don't dream, which as a creative person, it's like, how could you not? Like, I feel like we all have internal dialogue and some people don't, which is weird. Like, where's your narrator at?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hard to imagine.
Multiple narrators.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, no, it all comes down to your adrenal health. So if your adrenals are compromised, you often won't dream, or you won't be able to remember your dreams. So you have good adrenal health.
Yeah.
Which is something to be aware of too. Like if you always dream or you always remember your dreams and for some reason they stop, there could be something going on internally. Something to,
Oh, well,
keep
no.
note of.
My dreams are like, my subconscious is very clear that, like, you've been thinking about this. It is very clear.
We know this has been on your mind.
Yeah. There's actually one dream that I had for like the first 6 months of getting sober, and whatever was happening, I wouldn't be able to speak because there would be like almost like molasses like building up in my mouth.
Really?
Yes. And I would like have to excuse myself and go to the bathroom and like try and spit out this it was disgusting, to be honest, like in the dreams. But it took me almost a year to realize that it was in the dream, like I would spit out this thing and it would instantly start to dissolve.
Oh.
And there would be like elements of my addiction in it. And it was the dream version of the reality that, drinking or using of any kind was getting in the way of me being able to use this thing I'm supposed to use, which is like using my voice. That I was blocking it. These things had been blocking it. And it was all of that for the first 6 months of just years of doing that to myself. It was all coming up and out.
Oh my gosh.
And then it stopped. But any time that for example, I got really sick and I was hospitalized and they had to administer like actual drug,
Yeah.
And so the days after that, just the feeling in my body, it brought back those dreams. It was really interesting to me.
I think it's time to talk about the sobriety journey. We've talked about the dream. I think it's only fitting we proceed.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
I'm so curious because I feel like you've been relatively public with where you are now.
Yeah.
And then you had a little hiatus. Do you feel like some of that kind of synced up time-wise of taking a break from music and having your sobriety journey come to fruition? Was there kind of a make or break moment? I don't know how comfortable you are to disclose, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think that it has to be comfortable in order to exist. Okay. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Because of course, realizing that there are things keeping you down or that you're not as in control as you think. I think most of us like to imagine that we're in a lot of control.
Sure.
And I know that I certainly did. I like to think that I was on top of it, on top of whatever I had to do, like whether it was creatively or just in life, and recognizing that something was impeding that, that I didn't necessarily have control of.
Right.
And yes, my experience in deciding to become sober really it's changed my life, for one. I feel 100% of the time. And I think that the timing of me moving into, I'd moved out of, like, the middle of the city, and I was ready to, I knew I needed to make a change. I've always been the type of, like, whether it's I'm smoking cigarettes, weed, or drinking or whatever, but I feel like it's especially true with nicotine. Like, I loved to smoke cigarettes. I loved it. And my whole idea and vibe was that it's like, if I sit around and I'm using or smoking or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to die from this one day, or this is bad for me. Like, one, what fun am I having? Like,
Right.
that's not giving enjoyment. And I really believe what you put energy into will come to fruition. And I've always been of the notion that, like, if I want to stop something, like, I can stop it.
Yeah.
And I've had examples in which I've needed to do that and have been successful at doing so. So when it came to a point in my life where I needed to stop for, whatever it may be, and I could not, I knew immediately, like, oh, that hasn't been my truth before. So there's an issue now. And when that became apparent to me, when that realization came, I had to spring into action for myself and make some decisions to choose 0 habit-forming substances of any kind at all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was a difficult decision being in a creative space?
Yeah, I thought that my creativity was supported by, drug use or alcohol or whatever, just mind-altering substances. And it was a symptom of trying to feel safe and good in my own body. And for a long time, that worked for me. And it was something that served me. And the moment that I realized it, it wasn't serving me, that was an easy choice to make. The reality of going through the experience, that was a lot harder.
Yeah.
Like, the craving, recognizing that, like, oh, I really want to smoke right now, and I'm not, and it's changing the way I'm showing up. I'm really feeling stressed out, and I want to smoke weed to make that go away. Oh, I've had a really bad day. I want a glass of wine in order to, stop it, and kind of, like, take the edge off.
Right.
And the incredible journey of feeling my feelings and experiencing my emotions for the first time in my life as an adult is some of the hardest work I've ever done, and it's the most rewarding work I'll ever do. I am such a better writer. I'm such a better human being. And I'm not in my own way. It is extremely difficult to commit to, but it is rewarding every single day, and it's amazing to show up and not think, with the mindset of, like, what am I going to get from this experience, but to really show up and say, like, what can I be of service to in this experience?
Yeah.
So, yeah, pretty big shifts in perspective.
Definitely. I'm going to lift your head up real quick. I'm going to put this towel right behind
I feel like
you.
I'm not answering the question very well.
I feel like listening to you talk is very therapeutic in itself. I'm like, whatever you just said sounds incredible. Do you feel like there's anything, this could be like it doesn't exist yet, I'll preface that. Do you feel like there's anything that could be really beneficial to young people coming up in the creative space surrounding addiction, just to create more support. I feel like I've seen some things now where I'm like, where's your mother?
Right.
And, you know, there's not much you can say or do as an older person present when, you know, they're old enough to make their own decisions. But in a sense, I'm like, you're not going to have any longevity if you're starting this now. I'm concerned.
Well, that's not even necessarily true. That's what's worse about it. It's like you could have longevity and you're going to live in that cycle every single day.
Yeah.
And you're going to, you know, that's going to be your reality. Your reality is going to be delusion for a very long time, if you're lucky.
I feel like that's where it gets kind of sticky, is it's like people can continue on and they're just like, I don't really have a issue with this.
Yeah, because it's not a problem until it is.
Yeah.
You know? But the moment that it is, it's not going to stop being a problem until you do something about it.
Okay, I see.
And the problem's going to grow and grow and grow once you realize it's a problem, or once it becomes one. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I guess my thing is that it's like, it depends on what your vision is for yourself. I think it's more so about being accountable and being realistic. Mm-hmm. You know, if longevity is what you care about, then understanding how longevity generally happens is going to be important. Mm-hmm. But if you just, you know, you're just living, and this is what you're living by and what you're, you know, then that's going to be the choice that you make according to what those needs are.
Right.
It's really just, it is just the choices that you make. And I think that while trying to pursue something with longevity, it contradicts itself. The high is short-lived, but you're looking for a long life.
Right.
So, yeah.
Do you feel like there's any advice you would give to a younger person in that position?
I don't think so. Because, because I think that there's...
Like it's all your own journey, kind of?
No, but there's... Whatever I have to say won't get them what they need.
Yeah.
You know, I can share my experience. I can share what worked for me. I can share the fact that, you know, at one point, drinking and taking drugs, they were life-saving measures for me. And today, not using them as a life-saving measure for me.
Right.
You know, but I think that an individual has to decide that they are willing to experience something different, and they have to be uncomfortable enough with their reality to say, like, I'm not interested in continuing to live in this version of delusion, or with what I'm experiencing. I want something different.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to do something different. That willingness is an action in itself. So I think that, you know, you couldn't tell younger me shit. I was doing it all. And I was a festival girl, and I was, you know, running naked, wild, and free with braids to my ankles. Like, you couldn't really tell me no.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, saying, okay, thank you so much, sweetheart, as I skipped away from you if you did. Mm-hmm. So I think that by the way I live my life today, and seeing that just by making different choices, I can be a positive impact on others just in the way that I show up. I would rather have someone come up to me and say, I want what you have. I want that light when you walk into a room. I want that natural charisma. I want that, you know, attractiveness that makes people feel drawn to you. I want financial security. I want a family. I want, you know, the longevity that you have. I want the reputation that you have. I'd rather have someone come to me in the trenches of their addiction and say that than come to someone in the trenches of their addiction and say, look at everything I have. Yeah. You know, don't you want this? Because maybe they do. but they have to have the willingness to go and get it. And so I just have to keep taking care of myself, and I can't help anybody, for fuck's sake, you know? I can't make anybody do anything. I can hardly make myself do shit.
I think that's so true, though. Like, everybody's journey and timeline is so different, and I think, in a way, substances can really get you through certain things, but I do like that sentiment of sometimes you do just have to choose.
Yeah. Sobriety is a matter of attraction to me. It's not a matter of, like, promotion.
Do you feel like there's anything that inspires you as an artist or creative? Whether that's a thing or a person or a feeling?
Yeah. I'm inspired by so many things, but I'm inspired by uninhibited minds the most. I have the privilege of volunteering with my son with my child at their school once a week. And I'm there for, 3-4 hours with kids. And the way that they think, speak, show up inspires me so much. Seeing a mind, or being able to experience a mind that is not corroded with all of the things of today, is a magnificent and special experience. And applying that to myself, like having the ability to learn from kids or from minds like that, because they are, in some adults, those type of thinkers or livers. There are adults like that who still aren't corroded by now.
Yeah.
And I love that. I am so inspired by that, for people who can look at life the way that they do. Nothing has to be yes or no, but there's an understanding and an acknowledgement of the way that things happen in life, that nothing is really still. There is always an ebb and flow going on. There's always a transition happening. Being adaptable is an inspiration to me. And love. Love is inspiring. Love for yourself, love for, the things around you, the people around you. Love is something scientific that I don't even have the verbiage to understand, but it is tangible, even though we can't hold it. And that inspires me.
I think that's pretty incredible.
Me too.
Do you have any practices that make you feel kind of within yourself? You know how when you're kind of out of your body, and you're just like, okay, whatever this thing is, this is going to make me feel grounded and centered and the most myself. So I think these things do change over time. I'm just curious if anything comes to mind.
I think that my answer is not going to be the expected one.
Okay.
But I have to wrap myself up in a comforter. And, like, my face has to be encapsulated, like, over the head, tucked under my chin, in a small ball, binge watching, let me be clear, Intervention. I need to see the destruction of the world in its totality to remember that anything is possible. And that is where I find myself again. So I just Yes, I'm sorry. That's the answer.
I love that answer. It's very reminiscent of my mom watching Hoarders.
Yes.
She's like, okay, my house is not that bad, but I am gonna go clean my house after this.
Right.
Oh my gosh. That is a show though. Intervention.
Oh my, and that was my thing when I was a teenager.
Mhm.
Like, I used to love getting fucked up actually and watching that show.
Really?
Yes. And now in my sobriety, it's like,
Is it a full circle moment?
it is. And I love it still. It's like I used to have different reasons for loving it then, but like today it's like this moment of nostalgia mixing with a reminder, mixing with like the similarities and differences in my life today. It makes me get up eventually.
Out of your burrito nest.
Out of my, yes. Yes.
How's your skin feeling?
Amazing.
Good. So I've seen these Betsy Johnson shoes you've been raving about. Have you been a lifelong Betsy Johnson lover, or is this a newfound, you're just like, okay, this is just really my vibe right now?
That's a great question. When I was a little girl, I used to hear my grandmother talk about Betsy Johnson a lot.
Okay.
And it came to me in like a memory when I was entering this, you know, girls era that I'm in. And yeah, that was, I rediscovered Betsy Johnson and just fell in love all over again. And I don't even like wedge heels. I really don't. Like, if I'm a stiletto, more, you know, Rihanna fashioned heel, sandal heel, high heel type of girly. But for Betsy, anything. Yeah, but it's a rediscovery. I really love the color, the freedom, and that's an example of someone when I'm saying, you know, their mind they haven't allowed that corrosion. You know, we kind of breed out and teach out creativity. We push it out of kids over the years, and then they're grown-ups and they're always looking at somebody who didn't do that saying, God, I wish I could be them, but I have to work tomorrow, you know.
I feel like she really gives me forever child in the best way.
Yes.
Like, in the best way.
Yeah, forever free.
Yes.
Really just forever free.
Like, I feel like in a lot of ways we channel people when we're trying to move past certain things. So I feel like she's such a pure person to channel when you're wanting to feel your most just open. If that's the right word, just open.
Yes.
And like nothing can hurt her. She's just, you know, I don't know.
Yes.
Beautiful. But when I was seeing all your Betsy Johnson stuff, I'm like, oh, she's taking care of that inner Jaiden. Little you is thriving right now. In the best way.
Yes.
Alrighty, I'm gonna move this towel from behind your neck. Relax on down. I'm gonna have you take a peek at your skin. We're all done with your facial portion. You look gorgeous.
Wow.
Alright, you ready?
Oh my God. She's glowing. I'm not recognizing that as being myself. The dysmorphia is occurring. Wow. Wow, thank you.
You're welcome. Fresh skin.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to give you a few minutes to get comfy and situated, and we will reconvene on the chairs and chit-chat some more in a second, okay?
Okay, great.
Well, welcome back. We're going to have a little chat over on the chairs.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about some of the music you already have out and accessible to us. I feel like I'm one of the lucky ones to have heard so many of these live for the first time, and then hearing it for a second time produced and online. It's just such a different experience, but it's also nostalgic in a sense of like I can remember where I was the first time I heard this, and I remember the way that you would perform it and have so much emotion, and there's just a different element when you're listening to something live. But I feel like your two songs, Mama and Performance, they both have a little bit of parallel to me when I'm listening to it. So I'm curious with your writing and as those came out, if there was any parallel or if they're about similar things.
Mama is part 1, I feel like, and Performance is part 2.
Okay.
Yeah, like they are kind of a continuation or an evolution of one another. And I am never shy about my story, I guess. You know, I've been through things I think a lot of different people can relate to, of not honoring yourself, not honoring your worth, or being compromised to a degree where you are allowing the wishes of those you love or people that you know, or just outside forces to like dictate your reality and your path. And I think that's something a lot of women can relate to as well. And I wanted to speak on that with Mama. Mama was meant to be a call to the girls who are or the people who are in a relationship, because it's not gender.
No.
It's the relationship where they're always explaining themselves. They're always in defense of. They're always, you know, having to regulate how they show up based on someone else's emotional capacity or maturity or lack thereof. And Mama was the moment that you realize, the moment I wish I had had a lot younger. And if I can give that to young people in a song, like, I want to do that, because the moment that you realize you're in that kind of situation, actually leaving is a whole separate thing.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. It's two separate entities. But you can't erase that knowing once you know.
Yeah.
And all of the feelings before where you felt uncomfortable, where you felt not right.
And sometimes that's a really long period. Speaking from personal experience, I've been through it twice.
Yeah.
And even when you go to leave, it's not always the end all be all.
Right.
Like,
right.
Sometimes you're back many, many times till you're officially out. And
the cycle of abuse is like that.
Yeah.
And it's jarring. Your personality, you go through a period of like splitting where there's like who you are and who you know knows right from wrong, and then there's what you're actually, you know, participating in to a degree. And in Mama, I really wanted that to come out, not just in the lyricism, but in the tone. So that's why there's such an abrupt switch from the singing to that part that's like, now you got me, I can't do it for me. So, because it's a nod to reactionary abuse, like where you're now in a position of being aggressive because you were pushed to that point. And the relief that can come when you realize, like, you're just as dumb as your mom. Like, you're just, or like, you know, like, this is, the apple didn't fall from the tree at all.
Yeah.
Like, it's all connected. And when you get far enough away, that gives you a lot of peace. When you're in it, it's devastating.
It is.
It's devastating. And Performance is the non-reactionary version of Mama. Performance is where it's like, I'm not trying to ask no questions. Like, I'm just here right now. I don't know when this is going to end, but, you know, I'm just trying to get through. And the argument that ensues, because when there's someone with a certain behavioral type that feeds off of your reactions or your responses, like, that's what the chorus is. It's like, you say what's wrong, you know, what's going on with me, and it's meant to be that like you want me to react, you want me to get big and lost, and so that you can be fed whatever it is that you need to feel like, yep, see, you're the aggressor, yep, see, you know, turn things. And it's an internal like, I'm not going to do that anymore. Or it was an acknowledgement that that is what's happening. I feel like the work that I'm making today is me saying, you know, like you don't get to feed off of me anymore, because in reality, looking back at those two songs, even their existence is still feeding that
right.
Yeah, just them existing. It's not me just working through it emotionally. It's another moment where their story and the way that they treated me gets to take center stage instead of who I am today.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's been hard to publicly put out? Because I think songwriting can be so therapeutic in so many ways to just work through things, whether you know it's coming up or not as you're working through it and writing it out. But to then perform it and then to hear it, I feel like sometimes it's like, cool, I put it out, I sang it once, I've released it, but then people are like, well, I love that song. Yeah. And then it becomes, you know, now it's on repeat, and I feel obligated to perform it. Not necessarily have to, but you feel that pressure, I guess. Yeah. Do you feel like that's hard? I feel like the turmoil, like the back and forth can be a little difficult.
Yeah, I can identify with that. And I also think that the period of time, like when I made those songs and what I was dealing with in the studio, I had a lot of feedback or opinion on what my lyrics needed to be, how the melodies needed to be in order for it to be right.
Yeah.
And it felt like I was fighting tooth and nail to get this vision out. And so the performance of it, I felt like you could hear that in the music, and I hated that aspect of it. So like when people are telling me they love this song or whatever, I'm not thinking about how they love the song or how they can relate to it or how it helped them through a hard time. I'm thinking about that I had to fight so hard just to get what I could of myself into the song and out there.
Yeah.
And that I didn't even really get to do what I fully wanted to, because you're fighting so hard.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that. I mean, you know, it's incredible. Beyonce spoke to it in her recent documentary for Renaissance, and obviously you're talking about the highest level of stardom, and to see someone still having to argue with production, still having to argue over lights, and you know,
it's infuriating.
Yeah, it would be infuriating for anyone. And there's a reason that you see artists get up on stage and you're like, this doesn't look put together, or did it, and it all falls on them and their name. Like, they fought a lot just to get what was there. Yeah. And the difference is Beyonce. The difference is somebody who says, like, I'm not going out there until it is this. Yeah. And it has to be this. And that, to me, is legacy. That's on stage and off. And so that's something for me that, like, today, I won't compromise at all.
Like, this is the standard.
The standard for me is that, like, you can have your opinion, you can say whatever it is that you want, but I said what I said, and at the end of the day, my name comes out with this on it, and it's here to represent me. I'm not making music for other people. Yeah. It's wonderful that there's an audience. It's wonderful to have fans. It's not why I'm making music. I have to make music. It's what I was born to do. I have to write. It's what I was born to do. And it's wonderful that people can connect to it, but if I can't connect to it because I had to compromise on it, what's the point? Yeah.
Do you feel like this is something really exciting with this new release? Because when this comes out, we're getting all the teasers.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Yes. Yes. I am really excited. This new music is an exploration of who I am without me getting in the way, without anyone getting in the way. And it's representative of fun. It's representative of that true me that I feel like came through my music no matter what. Yeah. You know, like that authentic kind of earth tone. Yes. And that's there no matter what genre I'm dabbling in, no matter what it is that I'm doing.
She's a genre bender.
Right. Right. And just owning like confidence and joy, and that this is my story and that I can be who I want to be, and there's actually no one in my way. It's amazing.
It sounds very liberating.
Super liberating. It's incredible.
It's almost like a rebirth of this new
It's a birth.
era.
It's a birth. I don't know if it's a rebirth because, you know, I don't think that
This is a whole new birth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't been here before, because before there were other people's opinions, there were my own.
Yeah.
And I am my biggest critic. You know, anything someone else could say, I've said to myself 500 times. So, yeah, this is me getting out of my own way and saying, like, you can absolutely say that. You can sing that. It doesn't have to have a lot of deep meaning. You don't have to be a wordsmith. You already know how to write. You don't have to prove that on every single track.
No.
You can sing. You don't have to sing on every single track. Have fun. Like, who made all these rules? I did. You know, and they were reinforced by the narratives of other people, but this album is me being like, oh, there's no rules. The rule is I want to like it, and I do. I love it. I'm confident to be like, yep, that's my song, because it's like, I don't give a fuck what you...
I'm so excited.
I love it. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that.
Big things are on the way.
Yeah.
Is there anything else we should be keeping our eye on coming into, I guess this will be April 2024, so we're still in spring.
Yep.
Is there anything else? I mean, Capitol Block Party's what, July?
July 19th through the 21st. Yep.
Is there anything else we need to be like keeping our eye on?
Yeah, my single Sugar is going to be dropping in May.
So excited.
Yeah. And that's, if you don't feel like it's spring or summer yet, get ready, because it is. You know? Like, it's absolutely time to enjoy and to feel good, let the top down, you know, let your top down, whatever version of that.
Whatever your preference.
Whatever one you like.
Maybe dabble in both.
Right, simultaneously.
Well, thanks so much for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure having you. Where does everyone need to go to stay privy on all the updates, all the things?
Yeah.
Yes.
On YouTube, just type in Jaiden Grayson and you'll find me. Art by Jaiden Grayson on Instagram, and Art by Jaiden Grayson on Threads and TikTok and all the other places. But I feel like if you just put Jaiden Grayson in, I populate. You know, I'm in those spaces.
Yes. Lovely. Well, thanks for joining me. It's been so good. Yay. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I want to thank you also, like, a space to come and feel safe to talk about your art, to not have necessarily everything kind of like so rigid.
Yeah.
And to just relax. And like, I've learned over the last year that your opinions and your feelings are going to change, and things in life are going to change. And so it's beautiful to capture a moment right now, knowing that by the time this comes out, I could feel differently or see differently, but I'll have this little moment to remember, and that you facilitated that is a really special thing. So just like, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You give me all the warm fuzzies.
Oh.